and welcome to Bethan's Kitchen and Garden. Today I'm in the garden and I'm going to be doing some jobs that kind of need to get done fairly soonish because I really need to tidy up the area, the growing area, because it's got a bit unwieldy. So I'll show you what I'm talking about and then we'll get on with doing some jobs. So this is the sweet corn and squash bed, and we've had a fair amount of sweet corn from here, but what I want to do now is take out the rest of the cobs and then possibly have a look. There's a crown prince squash around here. Have a look and see if the squashes are ready for harvesting. Now if you can put your thumbnail in and it doesn't make a dent, then it's ready, and that's not making a dent. So I shall check all the squashes after I've taken the sweet corn out. There's one, there's a cob in there, and maybe we'll harvest all the squash today as well. And here's the bed all tidied up. I've just cut the sweet corn off just above a surface level, so the roots will just rot into the ground. And here are the pumpkins or squashes. These two are 100-weight, so they are quite big. And that was one squash per plant. And more or less the same with the crown prince. I had 3 plants and we've got 3 squashes, so 1 plant per squash. No, 1 squash per plant, or 1 plant per squash, whichever way you want to look at it. And that's the end of the sweet corn harvest. We've had more. The ones we had were kind of more like that. We had probably about 5 or 6 like that before I did this harvest today, and they do sort of vary really, because then we have some like that as well, although that's quite a nice eating size actually. And also over here, this will go to the chickens in a minute. We have ones that didn't form anything because they obviously didn't get fertilised, and there's another one there that can go to the chicken because it's got a bit of rot on it there. So that's one job done. I'm going to put some chicken manure pellets onto that bed now and rake it in, and then in a couple of weeks time I'll be planting my broad beans into the bed where the sweet corn was. But let's have a look around and see what other jobs there are to be done. Right next to the pumpkin bed is where I put my greenhouse shaft peas, and although I grew them in the time that they said you can grow them, because of the summer we've had, they've got mildew. So I'm going to take whatever peas are available, I'm going to take them out, because inside the pea pod they should be okay. It's just the outside that's got the mildew, and there's a few up here, but they didn't do very well. They were probably too sheltered by the tomatoes that are growing just the other side there. So I'm going to take all this out today. All this out. I mean, there's not that many of them, is there? But I'll take all that out, and then this butternut squash plant can just do its thing along here then. And there's some more here, so we should get a crop of peas, probably enough for one meal. But I'll crack on with that now, and I'll show you how it's looking when I'm done. tidied up this area now, and I took the opportunity to de-leaf most of the tomato plants. These were the tomato plants that I grew from the side shoots that I did in a previous vlog back in the summer. And what I would say about these is they seem to have more fruit on the trusses, but the fruit tends to be smaller. That's my observation of it so far. I have also tidied up the leaning tower of beans, and I've sort of rigged a little system so that the beans go off, and they won't grow along here now because it's a bit late in the season, but it might help some beans to actually form on the vines. My pumpkins I shall weigh, and I shall put the weight of each pumpkin on the screen now, so you can see how much heft is in them. And then I'm going to leave this butternut squash plant, which is that one down there, and this 100-weight one, which is forming the small little squashes. I'm going to leave them and see if they become edible. And I was having a look at, this was meant to be like all covered with loads of interesting squashes, but it's not really worked out well. A lot of the plants in these buckets have died. There's this Turk's turban one here that's just rotted off, so I'll be taking that out today. And the same with the other Turk's turban one over here. The plant hasn't rotted, but it's just not got going, and that's the only fruit we've got, and that's not grown, and it's not worth eating, that one. So I think this plant's going to come out, but this is the 100-weight, this one, so that will stay there. And then there are loads of small butternuts forming, and I don't know if anything will come of them now, because it's sort of a third of the way through September, but it's worth leaving them there and seeing what they do. And I've got a butternut there, and there's another one somewhere. Oh, and there's a big sort of butternut growing up here, so that may come to something. And then if we just come to the other side, oh, I'll just go up and over, show you. I have got a few gourds sort of hanging down here, but again, I don't know if it's too late in the season for them to come to anything. And then I've got two cheeky curry squashes which haven't grown as big as they should have done, really. And then finally I've got a bottle gourd there, which I was going to take off today, but I do believe it's still growing. That is bigger than it was last week. And I've got a bottle gourd, this is the biggest one there, which again I was going to take that one off, but it seems to still be growing, so I'll leave that on there for a little bit longer as well. And there's lots of little small ones forming, but I think it might be a little bit too late. If I just come over from the squash to the beans, there are a couple of Belotti beans coming now, but my beans have been atrocious this year. Absolutely atrocious. So that's it for the jobs in this vlog today. It's quite nice to get some things cleared and to prep the ground for what's going in next. It's been a difficult growing season, and I've discovered that this garden is a bit of a wind trap, which I never realised before, which is a bit tricky when you're growing vegetables, but we shall try anyway and see what happens during the winter. So it's nice to sort of get rid of a few crops ready to start again with the hopes of a bit better success next year. Well, that's it for me for today. Thank you for watching, liking and subscribing if you have done so. Thank you for watching if you've just watched. And please join me next time, where I'll probably be doing a bit more around the garden and trying to tidy up for the autumn. All I can say about my work today is lovely job.